Well, hey, welcome to the RVCC podcast, where we want to help you grow in your faith, lead your family, and influence your workplace. Hey, what's up? I'm Kevin. I'm your host today, as well as the director of RV Community for Christ, and really glad you're hanging out with us. Hey, if you haven't already, make sure to go to our website, rvcommunityforchrist.com. Check out the resources, the tools, the upcoming events. There's a ton of stuff going on there, especially the toolbox. Check out the toolbox. There's a lot of courses, PDFs to help you do those three things: grow in your faith, lead your family, and influence your workplace. So if you haven't already, be sure to check that out. Hey, I'm really excited today about our podcast because we're doing an interview with a guy that I have come to know over the course of the last few years, come to very much respect, and also call him a friend. Hopefully it's mutual.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. But we'll see how the podcast goes.
That's right. Ask me afterwards, right?
But today we're hanging out with Jason Yoder of R, Yoder Construction. Thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Me too. Me too as well. Well, hey, we're just going to jump into it. So tell us about you. There's going to be, obviously R, Yoder Construction, been a long time, around a long time. Yeah. You probably, a lot of listeners probably know your company, maybe even know you. But for those that don't, and even those that do, maybe give us a little bit more history. Tell us about you, your family, position, all those types of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like you said, my name is Jason Yoder, and I'm from this area my whole life. I've spent it here in Napanee. Love the community here. Met my wife in college. Her name's Jessica. And
where'd you go to college at?
Went to college at Olivet Nazarene University.
Nice.
Just south of Chicago. Mm-hmm. Studied mechanical engineering there. And I did graduate in 4 years. And met my wife there. She actually only went there.
College was the best 7 years, 8 years.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. Yes. That's what I told my kids. I'm like, you don't have to go to college, but if you do, I've got you for 4 years. After that,
okay. And after four, it's on you.
Yep.
Okay.
So my oldest has already graduated. He actually did it in 3, so good for him.
Nice.
But met my wife. She only went there 1 semester, and she moved back down to Nashville, Tennessee, and we got married the year after I graduated college. Been married at what will be 25 years this September. We have 3 children. My oldest is Chaz. He's 22 years old. And he's an accountant. And my middle son, Jake, he's 20, and he did not go to college. He's working here in the trades, actually working for us out in the field.
Beautiful.
So love that opportunity for him and for me as well. And then my youngest, Allie, she is 17. She's going to be a senior this year at Northwood. So she's just doing the high school thing right now. And busy in sports and things like that.
Yeah. Did your boys play sports too?
Yeah. My oldest, Chaz, he played in high school anyway. He played basketball and tennis.
Okay.
Played football for a year and then had some health issues where he couldn't do that. My middle son, Jake, he played football for a year or 2 in high school. And then after that, he's more into the outdoor sports things, as in a motorhead, gearhead. He loves fast things with motors. And he likes speed, so that was his deal. So from dirt bikes to 4-wheelers.
What about you in school? What about? I know you went to college, Olivet.
Yeah.
Did you play sports in college? Did you do what was your thing in high school? Kind of coming up.
Yeah, I was more geared on the playing sports. Yeah, I played basketball, football, golf, and I did those in high school. That was back when you could play multiple sports, and it was much easier to do back then.
Yeah.
I was that. I mean, I did not play anything in college other than intramurals. I was busy all the time in intramurals. So I enjoy the competition of sports, but not playing in college.
So how did you get into this business? I mean, it's in the field that you went to school for, but why go to school for it? Coming out. You stepped into family business even. We'll hear more about that. But how'd you come into this role?
Yeah. As far as the business itself or the industry, I guess I'll talk construction first, is that, like I said, we will get into it, but my father, Randy, started this company back in 1978. And so it has been something that has been part of my life literally forever. And so the the summers, I'd work here. I got kind of accustomed to construction, grew to kind of just really enjoy the trade, the variety of it, the diversity of it. And so you
started working here in summertime in high school?
Yeah, I would say early high school I did. Okay. And even during spring breaks, we didn't take spring break trips. And so for that week, I was here doing grunt work, helping Dad out. So, looking back, I saw that very valuable. He really taught a strong work ethic and hard work and what it means and to work hard. So it just something that I don't want to say grew on me, but it's what I knew. It's what I was. I did feel like I had some skills in it as well, and so just naturally was something that when I graduated college, I did not start at R Yoder right away. I actually moved down to where my wife, she was my fiance at the time, moved down to Nashville, where her family was, and I worked for Nissan.
Okay, so Tennessee or Indiana?
Tennessee.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. She has 3 sisters, and at that time, they had a Christian group, the 3 sisters.
Really?
They toured and sang and stuff
All
like
right.
that.
What's the name? What's the name? We can Google them.
Well, you may not be able to find them anymore. Back in the day, it was called MJK.
Okay.
So it means 2 things. Their kids or the girls' names are Mandy, Jessica, and Katie. Mm-hmm. But the real name, it meant Make Jesus Known. That was our group name. So they were down there recording and things like that. So the summer prior, I got an internship down, not at Nissan, but another company down there, and then was able to get hooked up and make some connections. And as soon as I graduated, I moved down there and had a job already lined up. So I worked there for a couple of years before I actually
then you officially came up here. Mm-hmm. What would have been your first role when you came on the team after school?
Yeah, so we at that time, which would be now 20-some years ago, we were not near the size of what we are now.
Yeah.
And so back then, you're kind of a jack of all trades doing mm-hmm. a variety of things. But mm-hmm. when I first came up, I was in the office, 3, maybe 4 days a week. But I still spent a couple days out in the field with the guys. That was twofold. One, to just kind of still hone my skills in the trades, using my hands, means and methods, but also to build rapport and credibility and respect mm-hmm. with the guys that were out in the field. Yeah. Not just coming in here and then all of a sudden I'm telling them what to do. So there was a period of time when...
Let me ask more of a personal question on this, because you're Jason Yoder. It's mm-hmm. R Yoder Construction. Yeah. And I'm sure people listening to this have to go through this as well and have been on both sides of it. How did you, coming into R Yoder Construction as your father's son, taking the roles that you had? Now, again, you're coming in doing grunt work, mm-hmm. summers, and I know a lot of people saw that. But how did you serve through I've got the owner's last name? Mm-hmm. Because that's and I know that's not on our list of questions, but that's where my mind went, because that's a tricky thing to play as a leader.
It's a tricky thing, and one that I'm trying to guide and navigate my sons through right now.
Absolutely, sure.
And so with that carries a big responsibility, mm-hmm. pressure, if you want to call it pressure, but good pressure, because the expectations for you are different mm-hmm. than anybody else, and people view you a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I think it's twofold. It's one, and I'll go back to that time. One was my dad did not treat me different than anyone else.
Nice. That really tees you up for success.
Yeah,
for
it does. Sure. I knew I was not going to be given advantage on anything. I had to earn it, mm-hmm. but I wanted to earn it. I mm-hmm. didn't want it to be, as men, we want to earn what we're given, mm-hmm. not just it given to us undeservedly. So, other than the gift of salvation.
Absolutely.
But in the work world.
Hey, don't get ahead of the interview, man. We'll get to
But in the work world, so I appreciate that about my dad. Was like, hey, you need to earn it. You're going to be just one of the guys for a while. Mm-hmm. But on my side of things is I had to be willing to accept that. I had mm-hmm. to put any ego or pride aside, that it doesn't matter if I have a college degree or my last name is Yoder. I had to be okay with that. And I was. And
nice.
That quickly accelerated the confidence and the trust and the respect that the other guys had for me, so that when the time came to transition, that I was now going to direct them.
You earned it.
I earned it.
Yeah.
So that was a big deal.
So tell us more about R Yoder, the what all you do, the scope of what you do. Because I know through the years it's probably had different ways that it's been walked out. The way the business, you do this and then this. Kind of take us through the journey of that.
Yeah.
Where you are now.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, which obviously I don't remember because I wasn't even part of this. Wasn't even born. But like most construction companies, my dad started as kind of a small little handyman construction business. It was just him. That's it. And his blood, sweat. I mean, he was everything, did everything. And so obviously I don't remember that period of time, but I do believe that within, I think he was able to hire his first employee maybe 2 years after he started the business.
Great.
So it slowly but steadily grew over the years. All the while, Dad was still working. He was an owner-operator, if you want to call it that. Like, he was still out in the field working, come home at night, do the business part of the business, and then back out on the job site every day. And did that for a lot of years.
Wow.
Many, many years. Until it grew to the point where his time needed to be focused more in the office. And so when I moved back here from Nashville, which would have been early of 2004, I believe. But I don't recall exactly, but we probably had somewhere between 12 to 15 employees at that time altogether. That includes Dad and myself. And
it's starting to get some scale to it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Bit, yeah,
for sure.
Yep. And but here in the office, it was like I said, I spent a majority of my time in the office. I was still in the field a little bit, but it was basically Dad, myself, and we had a secretary, and that was the office. The rest of the guys were out in the field.
Wow. And
back in those days, construction, the industry has changed as a whole, but back in those days, carpenters, as you would call them, were much more well-rounded. They could do they could do electric. They could do a whole framing.
Less specialized, more.
Yeah. So they could do. So we self-performed a whole lot, and we were still doing residential work then, but we were also a lot into commercial work at that time too. But it was probably still either 50-50 or 60% residential, 40 commercial, maybe somewhere in there. Then we continued to grow and just adding people here and there, and started to evolve to where back then in 2000, my youngest brother Kevin joined us. I don't remember exactly what the year was, but it was he started out in the field as well, and really learned the trade and got very good at that. And then he came into the office eventually. I don't recall what year, but maybe 08, 09, somewhere in there, 10. And then I also have another brother, Brad, who then joined our organization probably in 2016 to 18, somewhere in there. So by that time we had a lot of momentum, and we were we were getting into different aspects of construction, more complicated, larger projects. Started getting into public works projects, for schools and municipalities and government type work. And so we started to scale kind of exponentially. We eventually then made a decision to step out of the residential market and focus solely on the commercial.
When was that, around 2020?
That'd have been, right. I would say around 2020, 2021, somewhere in there. But we did want to stay in the residential market because there are some close ties to it. So we were able to work with and eventually acquire an established residential company, Town and Country Builders. And so they're exclusively residential, and there's no crossover employees. We all have our own different employees. But so we began to just scale and to where we are today. So very exciting.
And so our Yoder Construction proper is not just construction. It's not so much residential. You've outsourced that with another company, but you're into public works, you're into commercial, you're into a bunch
of things: development, construction management, general contracting, which we can or we don't have to go into all those different details. But there's a lot of aspects of construction. And so
what another question on this before we turn to Faith is, and Faith may have a part to play in this one too. Is you all are unique because obviously there's ups and downs, there's behind the scenes family thing. That's just family being family. But y'all did family and business. So you got dad to you. Now you got two other brothers that are in on it. Yeah. And they're all coming from up, proving themselves up as well. Yeah. But you all are working together and leading together. What have been some of the lessons that you all have learned? Because some people can do that, and some people have tried it and it doesn't work. Some people it could work if they did it right. So there might be some listeners here that are, I'm working with my sister. I'm working with my two brothers. What have been some lessons y'all have learned about working together as family, but also we need to run a good business here too?
Yeah, I wish there was a magic formula to say, do this, this, and this.
Sure. Life's never that easy.
No, it's never that easy.
No.
And honestly, I couldn't tell you, hey, do this, and this, and it'll be fine. Every family's different. 100%. Every dynamic is different. But for us, I guess there are some things that we have openly discussed. And I think when we're outside of the four walls here, meaning hanging out on the weekends as family and stuff, we don't really bring up work. We don't discuss work. So we try to keep that as separate to protect our family and relationships there. And so that's kind of a guiding principle that we have.
So work is at work and families with family.
Right. Yeah. Now mentally we may be thinking 100% about work outside of it, but we're very careful to just let's separate the two, and there's a time to discuss work and there's a time not. So, but as far as within the boundaries of work, it's extremely important that we protect our relationships first. We're family first, and then we run a business second. That's very, very important for us to protect that. And it's extremely important that we're on the same page as far as the direction of where we want to take the organization. And it's all three of us on the same page, not two of the three. And we're not bulldozing anybody. We're all in agreement. We meet often just to discuss kind of the goals, the vision, the trajectory that we want to take.
Y'all do some offsites as well together?
Yeah,
as
we
teams?
do some offsites with us three, as long as two other individuals that are key people here that form our leadership team. Yeah. So we'll do once a year do an offsite for 3, 4, 5 days. That's extremely valuable. So communication, I think, is just the key. That
being willing to have the hard conversations when they need to be had. Yeah.
But all three of us, we get along very well. We don't fight. We don't raise our voices. And that's the honest to goodness truth. And it's just worked for us. I don't know how or why, other than God's favor on our relationship and business. So,
I love it. Yeah. So knowing you the last few years and getting to know you personally, I know that, one time I was doing some stuff with a high school team in Tulsa. Usually I was youth pastor there, and I was with the football coach, and man, he's really coming across like a Christian. I mean, he's talking the talk, Yeah. And I was talking to my buddy, and I said, "Hey, is this guy a Christian?" And he said, "Well, when he needs to be."
That's right.
But knowing you and hanging out with you, you're not one of those, I'm a Christian when I need to be. Walking with Jesus isn't it's not a religion. It's a relationship and a pursuit of Christ as a man, as a husband, and a father. So how did you personally come to Christ? And on the back end of that, how has your walk with Christ, how do you balance that on secondary? How do you balance your walk with Christ? But I'm a businessman. I got to make tough decisions at times. Share my faith, but also know it's business too. So first of all, how did you come to Christ? What's been your faith journey personally?
Mine is, I'll call it boring, but yet I am very grateful. And when I say that is, I was raised in a Christian home.
Beautiful.
And
what a heritage, man.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
Praise the Lord.
As far as everybody, my parents were both raised in Christians' homes, so there's been a legacy and a heritage there that I am just fortunate that I was born into, and so it was modeled before me from a very early age and instilled in me, and I came to know Christ at 5 years old, actually.
Wow.
And so I believe I came home from church. I don't remember if it's a Sunday morning or Sunday night, and again, just
old school Sunday night church. Come on,
exactly right.
Man, hey, that's as Christian can be, man. You're going to church on Sunday night. Come on, that's how I was raised.
So yeah, I accepted Christ at an early age, at 5 years old, and so it was not some dramatic. Hey, I lived this one way. And there was a total shift, other than
you weren't out smoking weed and partying at 4.
Not at 3, 4 years
and
old.
then at 5, you came to Christ.
And so that is again simple conversion to Christ when I was younger. But the journey, is story's still not fully written.
100%.
So yeah, and there were some highs and some lows during obviously in all of our lives there was. But yeah, that's how I came to know Christ. How do I balance being a Christ follower in business? Believe it or not, I took down some notes from that because it's not like I set out to, I got to do this, and do this. It's who we are. Like, I don't really separate my relationship with Jesus and business. They are one and the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's through your decision making and how you treat people. But some of the things that I had put down is how to balance it is, number one, I think most importantly, is see people as people, not just resources in our business. That they are people and humans just like me. They have feelings, they have emotions, they have highs, they have lows, they have struggles, they have successes, and care about that. Literally invest into them and help develop them. And they're not just a resource or an asset that helps provide a profit for your business. So,
and you're talking inside. You're talking inside our Yoder and the contractors you work with.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Suppliers.
It's not transactional. It's a relationship and it's a partnership. And so I think valuing them and seeing people as people is very, very important. Another thing, which is just a core of who I am and is important in business, is integrity. And I jotted down here, let integrity cost you something.
Explain that.
So really, integrity only matters when it costs you something. Or doing something when nobody's watching.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that. Yeah. And so that's when it matters.
Yeah, like how do you know you have integrity until you have
the opportunity? In our world, we could hide mistakes. We could take shortcuts. We could, in some instances, maybe even price gouge people.
Absolutely.
Take advantage of them.
Yep.
Overpromise something knowing that we can never deliver on that.
Yep.
And so just to get the job. Well, we could do that, but I could not do that in good faith. And I would not want to model that for the people here. And so integrity, I'll say, starts with me personally, and then hopefully is modeled and demonstrated and flows down through.
That DNA becomes the DNA of the next person and the next person.
We are also outspoken about it within with our people here internally. That's what we stand for as an organization. But you can only stand for it as an organization when you personally hold 100% to those same principles. So integrity is a huge thing. Another thing, I put pursue excellence, not just a profit. Profit is kind of the product of, or the byproduct of, excellence. Excellent customer service, excellent quality. Are we serving our people well, and our customers and our subcontractors? We don't look at our subcontractors as they work for us. By contract, that's the way it looks like.
Yeah.
But we reverse that we need them and we work for them and we serve them. And it doesn't mean that you let people push you over or that you can't be firm and you got to make tough decisions sometimes and hold the line. That's all very important.
And that's all. And that's part of being having integrity.
Right. Exactly.
We made a contract. Yep. We worked this out. This is what you agreed to. Yeah. I'm agreeing to. Yeah. Let's both hold the line. That's integrity.
Yeah, that's integrity.
Yeah.
And so, just excellence in everything we do. Again, that's one of our core principles here, that we want people to be excellent. We don't expect them to be the best. We want them to be their best. And so that includes me. Like I can't come in and expect something from someone that I myself am not trying to pursue. So excellence is a big thing. Hold success with an open hand. So we're all, especially as business owners, we have a lot of ambition. That's a lot of times how we got to where we're at. We have
for sure
a lot of ambition, and that's not wrong. That's not bad. That's a good thing, but it needs to be tempered sometimes. Because, and I wrote here, the challenge is whether success becomes your identity. And so when things are going well, that's the times when you need to still be grateful, be teachable, be humble, and also understand where in our world, the projects, the jobs, the success, where that has ultimately come from. And it's nothing that we did. It's us using the talents that God has given us to then honor and glorify Him in return. Yeah. So that's a big thing. Then last thing I'll say, as far as balancing being a Christ follower in the world of business, is lead as a servant. I can be a boss. I'd rather be a servant leader because I want to earn people's respect, not just it be given because of my job title or my role here. Yes. And so that's extremely important. And I don't
looks a lot like Jesus too.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm not going to pretend to have it perfected because I'm very task driven, and so I have a laundry list of things I need to get done myself. And sometimes the hardest thing is to say, you know what, I'm going to put that aside because my fellow coworker here really needs me in this moment.
Yeah.
That selfishly, my flesh, that's hard to do sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, no, I'm not. I won't get done what I need to if I take time to do this. But the value and how that builds a team and a relationship with that other person in our team is
well, and that goes back to one of your first principles of this relationship's not transactional.
Right.
It's personal.
Yeah.
I've often said, and for myself, people I work with and lead and do things for us, if you don't, for me anyway, my definition, if you don't put the word servant in front of leader, you're not a leader, you're a dictator.
Yeah.
You hear R. Yoder, you could positionally come in, do, go, but that's not necessarily leading.
Right.
That's just dictating.
Yes.
And eventually that catches up. I mean, the old adage, you can shear a sheep 1,000 times, you can only skin it once.
That's right.
Eventually that dictator type mentality, we do it selfishly in the moment because I want to succeed, but very, very quickly that turns around. Yeah, servant leader. Yeah, your list there looks a lot like Christ.
It does, doesn't it? Or that's what we're aiming for. But as far as being that servant leader, I mean, there's a fine line between, hey, go do this, and just telling people to do. At the same time, as a leader, you also have to delegate. And so it's still finding that balance in that line of when am I delegating and when am I sounding or being a dictator?
Yeah.
And
you figure that out, write a book, brother.
Yeah, exactly right. I was just going to say, like, it's not clearly defined.
Yes.
It's kind of gray sometimes.
Very much.
And so it's something I at least am aware if I'm going to delegate something out is, and sometimes just in your wording and how you and jumping alongside with them. And you may give somebody a task to do, but jump in along with them.
100%.
Follow up with them. Hey, how can I help you accomplish this? And things 100%. Like that. So delegating doesn't mean you're just wiping your hands clean of it. but there may be ways to
Yeah,
get
that's
involved
dumping.
and help.
That's beep, beep,
Yep.
beep, beep.
Yeah.
So here's a question I want to throw your way. And what you just gave on, balancing, Christ follower and work, could answer this question I'm getting ready to ask you. But we probably have some entrepreneurs, listening, some people who have started a business, some people who are just getting going, some people who maybe started and failed. Your father set the heritage, and you guys have taken it and put it on steroids even. Yeah. Is if you were to give some tips to someone starting out as an entrepreneurial, they started a business, they got a widget they're building, or maybe they're doing whatever, certain goods and services they're providing. Yep. What sort of advice would you on this side of R. Yoder give that person starting out when it comes to, I give you some tips on doing a successful business?
Yeah, I think there are maybe in leadership and in business, there's kind of 4 things in each that I kind of try to follow or have followed, or at least attempting to. For leadership, just separate from just the business part, but leadership, I wrote down character before competency. Again, we're going into the character thing, but my greatest, or at least I hope that my greatest leadership asset is not my talent, it's my integrity. Because talent's only going to take you so far, and people aren't necessarily going to follow talent long term. But a person with a noble character and high integrity, they'll be willing to run through a wall for you.
100%.
And so I think that's extremely important in leadership, is high levels of character and integrity. I think that's probably one of the most important things. Yeah. And the second thing that I hit on a little bit earlier, serve first, lead second. Jotted that down because I think you have to, as I go back, as we were discussing earlier, back when I first came to R. Yoder, that was the thing. I had to serve. I had to work alongside the guys in the trenches for a period of time. And while I didn't always enjoy it, I saw the importance of it. And when the time came to when I was then leading and directing them, they're like, yes, I want to follow that guy because he was in the trenches doing the dirty work with us and helping us. And so I think that's very, very important. Another thing, again, ties back to character. Say what you mean and do what you say. And that seems to be lost in today's society a lot, to where you're either making empty promises or overcommitting or not following through with things. And it's hard to earn trust, either internally here with people, with our people, or with subcontractors or clients. It's our word. I know everything in today's world is done in contracts, but our word should mean something.
Yes.
And so that's a principle that I really try to live by. That if I'm going to tell someone here, either internally or externally, I just had a situation this morning come up. I said, somebody got a hold of me and I said, okay, well, I'm going to deal with it. I'll take care of it. And I did right away. And that's important, is then following up with those people. And so to me, that's also very important, a principle of leadership. And again, I'll go back to the 4th thing I wrote down is develop people, not just projects. In our world of construction, where we're building things all the time. Yes. That's important, but it's developing our people. That is that is so very important. And our people need to feel valued, and it needs to be genuine. It can't be superficial. It can't be artificial. Like, it needs to be genuine. Like, we are pouring into our people and trying to develop and train them to be the very best.
Extent, and knowing you, I know this is how you feel as well, to the extent that I've developed you, I've helped you. And even if you're with us for 3 years, 4 years, and then you go and become, a doctor or a missionary or whatever, we helped you find your place. We helped you get to your next step. Yep. That's a huge win. Obviously, you want to pour into them, and they're going to help take our organization to a new level. But the heart of it is just people in general. Yeah, exactly right. Huge thing as a leader. Within the confines of business, or how we've tried to build our business, is one that honors God and not just makes money.
And goodness, there's a whole litany of things that could go into that. But honoring God in everything we do, in our decisions that we make, in how we treat people, in what our attitudes are, in the quality of our work honors God.
Yes.
And not taking shortcuts honors God. Doing what we say we're going to do honors God. And so the end goal is to not do everything that we need to and take shortcuts and backstab to make a maximum amount of profit. That's not the goal. And should never be in any Christian organization. And so I know that sounds like that's just a given. That's what it should be, but no, it's intentional.
You get lost in the
That
show.
is intentional.
Yeah.
And it has to be. Then I put never sacrifice long-term trust for short-term gain. That can be a temptation and easy to do when you're working with a vast network of subcontractors or clients or whatever. Like, we could get one up on them here. Yeah, but you just destroyed a long-term relationship.
Absolutely.
In the end, you lose.
What's Covey saying? What's Covey saying in his book 7 Habits is it's win-win or no deal.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a win for both of us, or we need to not do this.
Exactly right. Yeah. We talked actually just this morning. One of our meetings with project managers is our partnership and relationship with subcontractors. We were talking subcontractors in that meeting in specific, and what that looks like. And we can be black and white on everything, and then it's just a transactional relationship, or we can live in the gray. And that means that there's going to be some give and take in our relationship with any, you call subcontractor A, it doesn't matter. We can hold tight to the line every single time. That's fine, but they're not going to enjoy working with us and may not want to again.
Because it's transactional, then they're just going to go with the easiest transaction.
Yeah.
Whatever the next best transaction is, and now you're at.
And the moment that we ask for or need a favor for them or to jump through a hoop for us, they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But why would they? Yeah. And so we challenge our project managers that's a balance between an art and a science, black and white versus gray. Like it's, what might seem like, no, this is easy. It's about numbers or the data or what the contract says. Yes, we could hold the hard line every time if we wanted to. But I don't think that is going to work out very well in the end. So that's kind of what I mean there by don't sacrifice a short-term gain because long-term you're going to lose it.
Yeah.
So,
man, that's some great. You could build a business off that.
Yeah, it sounds like you probably could, right? Yes. The other thing, treat people fairly, especially when you have the advantage. So what I mean by that is that there's many situations, not many, but there are situations that we run into where in a project where we have all the leverage in something, be it with the client, be it with a subcontractor where we literally could, I don't want to say do what we want, but we could take advantage of another company or a client. Yeah. And having the high character and integrity that I talked about earlier says, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to treat them fairly like I would anybody else, no matter what position we're at that moment. Like, we have the leverage here, so let's try to take advantage of it. So we model that with the decisions we make in leadership, and we're also transparent with the other people here within our organization that they may not have made that decision, but we're transparent about it. Like, we decided to do this. We're going to do this. It's not right if we do that. So this is what we're going to do. So it's in our language here, if that makes sense. It's part of our DNA and who we are and what we do. So I think that's very, very important. Last thing in business, if you're just starting in it, wanting to grow one, thinking about starting one, is there's nothing better but working hard. You got to work hard. But like a rope that's in perfect tension, but remember who provides in the end. And so I think God rewards and blesses people that work hard for something. Yes. At the same time, he's the provider of all. And so you got to keep that in perspective and hopefully in perfect tension like a rope.
Yeah.
And so that there's that balance between.
I like that rope illustration.
Yeah.
Yeah. This weekend, actually, as a pastor, I spoke at our church and talked about stewardship, not about financial stewardship, just in general, that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, that everything belongs to God.
Yeah.
And one of our big, the story, of course, was the story of the talents, but it's that basically it's like the thing we got to understand about everything, whether it's our Yoder Construction or Forest River or my house or whatever, my body, my time, is God owns it. I manage it. And it's my responsibility to give it back better than I found it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
God owns it. I manage it. It's not mine.
Right.
But it's my job, whether it's my child or whether it's a car or whether it's a job that I have, is I got to steward it, and then I give it back better.
Yeah.
In some regard, I make it better than what I found. And that's the story of God gave 5 and made it. He gave him 5, 2, gave him 2 more, and then the one that only had 1.
Right. Yes.
He wasn't too happy with that guy.
Wasn't too happy.
Yeah.
No. And if steward correctly, our Yoder Construction is going to outlive me.
Yes. Yes.
It outlived my father.
Yes.
And so how are we stewarding in the time that we are given?
And what a heritage your father set, and obviously handed off to you guys, and you guys have been, done all those things with it yourself. But what a heritage it is that your father set for you, for your 3 children, for your eventual grandchildren, and and for my son works for you all as well, and for my family and my grandson. They're all. I get emotional about it. Your dad had no clue who my little grandson is, Zealand.
Right. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? What he started, and because he did that and he did it right, he's made it better than what he found. Exactly. What a heritage.
Yeah.
What a
That's
heritage.
awesome. Yeah.
So on that note, and I know it's probably a tough conversation for you. I'm blessed to where both of my parents are still with us. I've never I've never lost. Yeah. My wife unfortunately has lost her father. Yeah. Mother's still with us, but I've never went through that. You all have. As much as you want to dive into it for the blessing and the benefit of the listeners who go through tough times like this, kind of unpack the story of your father, his health, and that whole season of your life and how you all walk through it.
Yeah. No, thanks for asking. I would say the last the last 5 or so years that Dad was involved in the business, so let's say 2015 to 19, somewhere in there, he was really starting to slow down as far as his day-to-day operation. Your mom and Dad, they wanted to travel. They had a place in Florida. He went on a lot of missions trips. We did a lot of missions trips to Honduras and Haiti and stuff like that, Colombia. And so
he led he led a small church at NMC, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So he was diving hard into that stuff.
Yeah.
And that was at the time too that Kevin and I, apparently we had earned the trust in Dad, and he's like, "Hey, you guys need to run this thing." He said, "I'm not at the age where I have the drive that I used to. I do not want to be an obstacle." And so while he still technically owned the company, he let us run the organization. So, but then so we had the last couple of years, we actually then acquired the business. My 2 brothers and I in 2019. But that was probably a 2 or 3 year process as far as transitioning that ownership, how it would look, how we'd go through that. And so we'd meet, maybe once every quarter just to talk about it, then a little bit more frequently until we got into to 2019. That was a year when we're like, okay, now Dad was ready. He was ready to get out of it. We were ready to actually own it, and while we were running it. So it was a really good period phasing into it, not just, well, you have no say in anything, and then all of a sudden you own it and run it. So it was, I really appreciate how we took it slow.
Yeah.
And that then we were officially ready. But in 2019, we acquired it I think it was on July 1 of 2019. And literally within 3 or 4 weeks after that, Dad started to get some pain in his back.
How old was he at this point?
At that time, he was 64-ish.
Oh, wow.
Somewhere in there.
Wow.
Started getting some pain in his back. We actually took a trip as a family, I think to Gatlinburg that year. And so we, not funny, but happened so be on that trip, actually the day before we left on that trip, my grandma, which would be my mom's mom, she died. We knew it would be any time. She was in her 90s, but she died. We still went on Gatlinburg. We came back. My dad actually did the funeral.
Okay.
But he was experiencing some back pain, and it just was not getting better. In fact, getting a lot worse. And so they went in some for testing, scanned. I don't know what all they did. Mom and dad did all that. And but I think it was in September. Then he was diagnosed with esophageal cancer. That they said was probably in there for 30 years or so, but just kind of lay dormant. But he didn't drink, he didn't smoke, none of that.
Now, forgive me. Explain where is that cancer?
So that's in your esophagus.
That's what I was guessing.
Towards
but
the bottom, where it towards your stomach area. At least that's where it was for him.
Yeah. Because
he started experiencing toughness of like swallowing. Not that he was choking, but he's like, it feels like it's getting stuck. Well, that was the cancer growing. And so the doctor said it likely could be a couple cases from a lot of acid reflux over the years. It starts eating away at the lining of your esophagus. And then by the foods you consume or whatever. I'm not a doctor, don't pretend to be. Or from either really spicy, which he didn't like spices, but coffee day after day after day can sometimes eat the lining over it. So how and why it formed, caused, who knows?
But he had it for a while.
Yeah, he had it for a while, just didn't know it. And then before he started chemo and radiation, stuff like that, he got pretty sick pretty quick from this, and the pain was excruciating for him. And so for a period of 2 or 3 months, he basically isolated his bed. But then he started getting treatments and started feeling a little bit better. And at the time he was diagnosed, they gave him about 12 months. So they said likely he's probably not going to be able to get rid of it. So but for a few months there, I would say late in 2019, early 2020, he was doing pretty good when he was on treatments. Up and around, he'd come out here in the office and visit and talk, and it was just so exciting to see what was starting to happen here in the company and stuff like that. I can imagine. And so he was doing really well. And I don't want to say it gave us a false hope, because the doctor prepped him, and he was very forthright in communicating everything to us, which I really appreciated. He didn't leave any of us in the dark. But the doctor was like, hey, he's probably going to do pretty well for a while. But like what I hear is eventually his body became immune to the treatments, to where then it wasn't fighting off the cancer. And he did a lot of other different treatments and tried different things. But then probably, I don't know, May-ish, I'm trying to recall exactly when, but in May-ish, you could the treatments weren't effective. By that time, it had spread to his bones. And so eventually he lost his mobility to where he couldn't just because he's so weak and in so much pain and stuff like that. Couldn't really hold anything down and eat, because that's part of the cancer, or the type of cancer, or the treatments, or a combination of all. And so, but for a while, mentally he was still there and fine. He tried to get around as much again. He got like one of those battery powered wheelchairs, I guess you call it, or whatever. So he'd come wheeling out here and come into the office and honking his horn and beep, beep, the old man's coming through. He'd wheel into the office and stuff. And we all knew it was a matter of time, though. Yeah. So we very much valued that time with him, that he'd come in here and talk, and I'd try to ask him everything that I could, get his opinions, get his advice on things, because I knew there would come a time I probably wouldn't be able to do that again. Yeah. And so, but then, like I said, the last month or so, he ended up dying in September, towards the end of September of 2020. And so, and that last month and a half or so was it was certainly one of the hardest times of my life, but yet one of the richest times. what I mean by that is that he got to the place where he couldn't walk. He couldn't, and he was brittle. I mean, he couldn't eat nothing, and mom couldn't take care of him. And so my brothers and I, we took shifts, if you will, if you want to call it, to help put him to bed at night, to bathe him, to help him go to the bathroom. I mean, it was just, I could carry him. I mean, that's how weak he was. And so through that, when I say it was one of the most difficult times to see your father in that physical condition.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what a blessing and honor to be able to give back to him so much of what he gave to us. And so, difficult situation, but through that whole time, he was just an amazing example and testimony, because I think it was twofold. One, he no longer ran a business, so he didn't have that on his mind anymore. All the while he had terminal cancer, but just to see, he was always an amazing example and testimony to others and witnessing, but it just turned up about 10 levels at that time.
Really?
So everywhere he went, he was witnessing to people. Like, it was just the coolest, just so neat to model it, and how he lived well, but he died well. And would always just say, God is good. God is, he just said that over and over when he was sick. And again, well, I know you all remember, that was also during the time, kind of funny story, during the time of COVID, when it was in the middle of that.
Yes.
And so we couldn't go to the hospital with him even if we wanted to. And so, but we'd go out and things were starting to open up a little bit, or restaurants or whatever. But the mask wearing thing, I'm not going to get all political and stuff, but it was just funny that we would go into restaurants like, sir, you need to have your mask on. And we were never big believers in it, and he would do it as a joke. He'd lift his shirt up, and again, he was starting to get frail, lift his shirt up, and they'd show him his port or whatever. He's like, listen, he's like, my entire body is riddled with cancer. He said, do you think I care at all about this virus? Like, in a jokey manner, not a way to be confrontational or anything, but it was just so funny. Like, he didn't make a joke about what he's going through, but just his attitude and his spirit through the whole thing was a testament to me of like, how I have no idea what my future is, but I want to live now like he was living when he was dying, and how good it was, and what a great example and testimony.
Wow, what an amazing, that's a statement that'll stick with me on this podcast. I want to live now like he lived when he was dying.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
So that's always for me a good a reminder to help put things in perspective, either when I'm struggling or even when things are going well. Like, it's important that the decisions I make, how I live my life, the character, the integrity that I have, it matters, and it affects a lot of people, either for the good or for the not so good.
Well, and it's really the only, it's the only thing that you leave behind you is as my dad says, your legacy.
Your legacy.
Your legacy.
Yep.
Man, what a beautiful story. Sincerely, I don't know all your family for sure, but what an amazing heritage.
Yeah.
What an amazing heritage.
Yeah.
Wow. How long were your mom and dad married before he passed?
They celebrated, would have been that February. Again, he was sick, so that was in 2020. They celebrated their 45th year of marriage that year.
Wow.
And so we had
64 years old. I mean, I'm 55. That is.
Yeah.
Man,
he had a lot of years left.
Oh my goodness,
a lot of years left.
Oddly enough, I don't know if you know this. So obviously, we Napanee Missionary brought us on, and they planted us to do our Noble County, community church. And my wife Veronica and Lily moved here before I did, because I had to finish up the house and some things with the church in California. But they moved here in August of that year. And I remember before that, your dad said your dad passed in September.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We went to. That's how I knew he did a small church is because on one of our visits, we sat in that area and we prayed. We were praying for your mom was there. I think that Sunday, and the leader was praying for the Yoders and for him and for the family, and so that's how I remember that time frame, because he led that group.
Yep. Yeah. He did a phenomenal job with small church, and people just grew to love him. And it's been cool to just hear the stories afterward. People come up to me, a lot of people, honestly, that you would think being a small community, you know everybody, but you don't. And people come up to me and say, hey, your dad did this for me, or your dad prayed for me to this, or your dad had such an influence on my life because of this, this, and this. And like, wow. So it's cool. Again, it's the legacy part of it. Like,
absolutely. Yeah. Now you get to share that with your children, and then hopefully they're prayerfully going to be hearing the same things.
Right.
So if you were, a couple more questions for you. If you were to give somebody, you've already given so many good points, it's like might be redundant hitting some of that same stuff. But if you were to sit down, somebody wants to go out for a cup of coffee with you, and you're a Christian, you're happily married, you've got children, you run a business, and they see you as like, man, this guy's living a good life. And they asked you, hey, I want to live I want to have a good life. What advice would you give for somebody who just says, man, I want to do this thing right?
Yeah.
What would you give? What advice would you say?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess the first thing I would ask them, if they're like, hey, I want to have a successful life, is what does that look like to them? What does success mean to you?
Yes.
And define that. Whatever response they would give at that point, but I'd probably elaborate on it of what I feel success looks like. It's not having the biggest house, the most money, the biggest influence, the most power, persuasion. I mean, the world will tell you that's what it is.
Absolutely.
But it leads to an empty void is what that leads to. But it's becoming the person God created you to be with the resources that he's entrusted you with. We go back to the stewardship part
absolutely.
of it. And at the end of our life, when we come to an end, to me, that's what success looks like, is God created me to do this for a time as this. I am leaving it better than what I was given. Yeah. And I made a positive impact on people's lives. And so to me, that's what success looks like. So
you define, I'm going to go back because I like that statement. I believe you said success to you is, in some regard, becoming the person God created me to be, using the resources that he has given me. And because I've got myself and I've got the resources God gave me.
Right.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. And I like that. And being faithful with that and stewards of that. Yeah. So, obviously there's more detail to that. I had jotted a couple things down. Put God first. Build your character. I go back to the character thing. I think that's extremely important. Work hard every day. And invest in relationships. Stay humble and teachable. I think that's so important. I think that's one reason why my brothers Brad and Kev and I feel our organization is where it is because we don't have egos. We all men have some. So you
have ego in check.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah. When I say we have no ego, that's not necessarily true. But but to stay humble and be teachable. We don't know everything. We're not going to pretend to know everything. We're not better than anybody else. And so that humility and being teachable, coachable, if you will, is so very important. And then be generous. I think that's very important.
Why? People say that a lot. Why? Why be generous?
Right. Why be generous? Because it reminds you that it's not all about you. That what we're building here is not just for me to consume, for me to reap the benefits or the rewards of it. It's to share that and to be generous, both to our people here and to people outside these four walls or within our community or different organizations or to our local church. That helps put things into perspective of where it comes from, which isn't us, it's not our own doing. It's just being stewards of something that we don't really own, but to be used for the benefit of others. And that's our why.
Two thoughts that come to mind when you said that those things is, I read in a good book one time, it said Jesus says that the value of a man is not measured by his possessions. And so it's not about all the things I hold.
Right.
But then that same book says it's better to give than to receive.
Yeah.
And so at the same time, I'm trying to live a better life by holding on to everything I have.
Mm-hmm.
God says that's narrowly not how you're valued, number one. And also, two, you'll feel better. You'll be better.
Right.
If you give it rather than just kind of receive it and keeping it yourself. Yeah.
And a lot of, there's been many times for me, I'm only going to speak for myself because I don't know everybody else's heart, but for me, sometimes I look at who that recipient might be if I was to give something, be it my time, be it money, just giving something to somebody. And sometimes to my own fault, I'll run it through the filter of like, well, do they deserve that? Like, do they, not
did they earn it? Did they earn my gift? Yeah.
Did they earn my gift? And I'm like, but I don't think that's what God's looking for. He's looking for my heart, no matter how the recipient receives it, whether they deserve it or whether they not. But it's like, well, that's for me. That's for God using to keep me humble.
Yes.
To know to know what God has provided and given to me. It has not been deserved on my own accord either.
Yeah.
So who am I to say, well, then I need to keep it, or they don't deserve it?
Because sometimes God giving us the opportunity to give something, time, talent, or treasure to someone, it's could possibly be less about the person receiving it and more about God trying to do something in our heart.
Yep. And I think,
man, that'll preach.
Many times
I might preach that on Sunday morning. I got to figure out what I'm talking about.
Many times that's the way it is intended to be. Yes, exactly right.
Man, that's good.
Yeah.
We always end when we do interviews, we almost always end with this. Do you have a favorite Bible verse, a Bible story, and why?
Yeah, I think my mind goes to more of a story. Okay. And to me, it's in the Old Testament, the story of Joseph. I always go back because I'm fascinated. Every time I read that in the latter part of Genesis, just what he had to go through. There's so many underlying principles, both in our personal lives and in business as well. They kind of go hand in hand. And, he was first, and I won't dive into it. I'd encourage you, if you have not read it.
Go ahead, get your preach on, man. Awesome. It's okay.
But you have someone that you talked about, a person who had to go through a lot to build character. Leadership,
yes,
success, and a lot of it was through betrayal of his brothers. A lot of it was being unjustly accused of things that he didn't do. But all at the same time, through his perseverance, through his high character, through his doing everything in excellence in the lowly things of when he was a slave or a prisoner, that he was honored ultimately in Egypt through Pharaoh and things like that, where, ultimately, it comes full circle to where his brothers come back and eat with him at the table. It's an amazing story. And he's weeping because his brothers don't know who he is and and it was all just coming, the emotions were flooding back into him. And at the end of the day, he gives them the very best land and provides for them and gives them everything that they don't deserve. And I'm like, man, what a life that he, both extremes, from having nothing, and a lot of it was having nothing because he was, and it wasn't by choices that he made. They were in control. His brothers, sold him into slavery and then became a prisoner and then rose through the ranks in Egypt. Like, what a cool story of just building character and doing things the right way and having high integrity. I just jotted down a few things that I have learned, or jotted notes that I looked through my Bible, is being faithful where you are. So that's being faithful with today's assignment before asking God for tomorrow's opportunity. And so
you might need to hit pause right now and go ahead and tweet that or Facebook it.
That's right.
That's a good line.
That's right.
Say that again. That's a great
Being
principle.
faithful with today's assignment before asking God for tomorrow's opportunity. So we are in a microwave society right now. I want what I want, and I want it now, and I want it even maybe before I deserve it or before it was earned. But no, it's being faithful right where you are today. that's an example. Joseph was that.
Yeah.
Your integrity matters most when nobody's watching. Again, we go back to the integrity thing that really only counts when it costs you something, and it cost him a whole lot. He had many opportunities to take the shortcut, to go on the temptation of
Man, he's got full-grown woman coming at
running
him,
after him,
coming after him hard, and then
Yep.
he says no, and he gets he gets put in jail for it.
Gets put in jail for it.
Yeah.
When Potiphar's wife is the one.
Congratulations.
That did it all. Yeah. Thank you for being honest.
Thank you for being a man who keeps his hands to himself.
Yeah. Yep. Don't let, and I'll quickly go through these, but don't let bitterness define your life. He had every reason to be bitter toward his brothers and towards everybody else, the prisoners or the guards and all that type of stuff. But excellence creates opportunities. And so he was given more responsibility, eventually oversaw land, and I mean the whole kingdom, because he was excellent in the small things. That's a principle I've told my kids very young: be excellent in the small things, because it leads to bigger responsibilities. So use success to serve others, which he did. He was a good example, not a perfect example. There's only one perfect example, but use success to serve others. Learn to trust God's bigger picture. He did not see where his life was going to go. But he was trusting God through the whole time, never waned in his relationship with Christ through that time. And then the one thing is success is character plus calling. And so that to me is an example of what Joseph was, is that he was successful. Again, I'm sure monetarily and influence and power, he was successful in that way. But because he had high character through that, his success was even more far-reaching.
Yes.
He was able to fulfill his calling. And so, goodness, I've read probably just this year, 3 or 4 times I've read the story of Joseph, because for me, it's just a good reminder of helps put things in perspective, that no matter how bad I think it is in my own life, it's nothing to compare to what Joseph went through. And you can use the story of Job as well. But for me, Joseph is just one that, for me, I really love
resonates
his
with
story.
You. Yeah. That's an amazing story. One of the things I've always enjoyed about the story of Joseph, I had a pastor one time that pointed this out, so I've kind of studied it since then. But it's odd, because everything that Joseph went through, all the tough things and even the good thing, everything he went through was preparing him for God's ultimate position for him. So he ends up being number 2 over all of Egypt, over the grain, and people are coming from all over the area, all over the world to get grain. And there's swindlers, there's liars, there's all sorts of negative, people who have bad and ill intentions, and he's got to figure out who's telling the truth and who's not.
Right.
Well, he learned how to deal with those types of people when he was in prison. The swindlers and the cheap and the thieves and all those things. But then also he learned how to govern and to run, being faithful in the small. He learned that in Potiphar's house. And so as a slave in Potiphar's house, he's learning skill sets. In prison, he's experiencing skill sets and learning things. And everything was preparing him for his ultimate position. And at any time, if he would have stopped doing the stuff you talked about there, he misses out on it. Because God was actually using this as a way to cultivate him for his ultimate spot that he had. And since my pastor talked about that years ago, I've always thought about, okay, it's not so much why is this happening to me? Is why is this happening for me?
Right.
What are you trying to teach me right now? That I need to learn my character. I need to learn maybe a certain skill set that I wouldn't have had if I wouldn't have been in this position. The story of Joseph, man, you about got your preach on. It'll preach. It'll preach.
It'll rock your world. He had the dream where there were going to be 7 years of abundance and then 7 years of famine, and how he had the wisdom to, in the years of abundance, to save up storehouses of that grain, so that in the years of famine they would have enough to provide. And like you said, people were coming to buy grain from him. And then ultimately he provided that to his family that came and moved them to the land and provided
like my dad said,
everything for them.
Legacy.
Legacy, that's right.
Legacy is one of my dad's favorite words. Oh, man. I always love hanging out with you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking time. I know you're busy. Allowing me to come and check out your offices. It's beautiful. Man, what I truly admire you. I admire you from afar, as far as just what, not just you, but you and all your father and the team at R Yoder has been able to do. You guys are making the people that work with you and work for you better, but you're also making the world a better place by providing buildings and remodels and helping people's dreams come true. So that's pretty admirable. But then also just even as a friend, hanging out and seeing that, knowing you like I do, the things you're talking about today, I know are not just, it'd be a good thing to say on a podcast. Right, this is just you. Yeah, this is just you.
I'm not a professional podcaster, so I don't have it all down. Like, hey, say this, and this, and you'll sound really good. So no, it's genuine. We try to live it, and continuing to try to get better at it, and ultimately try to just point people to Christ.
I love it.
That's our aim. I love it. That's our goal here. So.
Well, and that's our goal at RVCC. It's RV Community for Christ, and like we get asked a lot. Hey, do you gotta be in the RV world to come to your events or your men's events, women's events, or whatever? No. If you're breathing, you're part of the RV community. It's we want to reach out to people in the RV community specifically and help them share Jesus, because that's where a lot of us are coming from. But especially in northern Indiana, that RV community, it's everywhere. Yeah. There's an uncle in the RV community. There's an aunt in the RV community. There's a building. There's a construction company that builds buildings for our RVs. And so at RV Community for Christ, we want to help people find Jesus. It's not about RVCC, it's about Jesus. And so that's why we do podcasts like this and tools and things online. And mark your calendars, go online, and the actual date, it's in October, skipping me right now, but go online. We have the Benham brothers. I don't know if you've heard of them before, but the Benham brothers are amazing. And they're going to be speaking at our main event, our big fall event in October. So if you haven't already, go check that out online. We would love to have you come and be a part. So, hey, Jason, thanks so much for hanging with us, brother.
Appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
Man.
Appreciate it.
All right, later.
Yep.